I'm Professor Indra Bisekra. In this video, I go through an example of reading systems documentation. I've created a case example here called online bookstore and given a name for that bookstore as Bookmark, and outline here 7 items of activities, and from this we will create a data flow diagram. The first one is customer completes a sales order for a textbook with Bookmark, where after pre-validating customer payment details, Bookmark confirms to customer with likely date of delivery. Second, Bookmark contact the supplier for the textbook to be sourced and confirm availability. Third, Bookmark receives a purchase order from supplier. Fourth, supplier dispatch textbook directly to the customer and provide the tracking number. Fifth, Bookmark pays the supplier. Sixth, tracking number shows the textbook is delivered to the customer. 7. Customer is charged through the credit card and receive money, and Bookmark receives money. So let's do a data flow diagram from this. So the first level of the data flow diagram is called the context level diagram. So that's the most condensed level of the diagram. In that, there are 2 external entities, so we show the external entities. In this example, there are 2 external entities, customer and supplier. And then the company or the bookstore, which is the information system in focus here, which is Bookmark Store. Once we have shown the external entities and the information system in focus, we can then show the activities in relation to the external entities and the company or the information system. So that's what we have done here. So the book was delivered directly to the customer from supplier. In relation to bookstore and the customer, there was customer complete sales order, and then cash was received from the customer at the end of the book delivery. In relation to supplier and the bookstore, the supplier was paid cash after the book was dispatched. Supplier, before that, the supplier ordered, supplier sent the supplier order, and it was received by the bookstore, and also the supplier sent the tracking number to the bookstore. So that's the highest level of diagram, most condensed level of diagram. Now that information system or the bookstore, the company, can now be expanded into number of processes. So the next level is where we now expand the information system into a manageable processor. So we saw in the first diagram as a one process. Now we are going to expand that into a number of manageable processes. To do that, we need additional information. So what I have done here is that we taken the same information, but I have now added additional information to make it more detailed so that we can come up with the next level of the diagram. What I have done here is that I have added the functional departments who conducted these activities. So the first one in relation to the sales order was sales department that received it, and then second one was that the purchasing department contacted the supplier, and the third one was the purchasing department receives the purchase order, and the fourth is that the purchasing department, the textbook was dispatched, and the tracking number was sent to the purchasing department for internal distribution. And the fifth is that bookmark then was paid and the accounts department paid it. And number 6 is that the tracking number was followed and the book was delivered and the sales department tracked it. And the 7th is that customer was charged through the credit card, and that was done by the accounts department. So what I have done is that I have provided additional details here in relation to each of the activity items, so that we can get to the next level of the data flow diagram. So with that additional information, we'll get to the next level of the diagram. So the next level of the diagram is called the data flow diagram 0. So the context level diagram does not have a number, but the next level of the diagram is given the number 0. But when it comes to notation of the processes, in the context level diagram, we notate the notation is number 1, but when it comes to the data flow diagram 0, the processes have notations as 1, 2, and 3. So given that these activities were processed by the functional departments in this instance with the information that we have, the manageable processes here are the sales, purchase, and accounts. So now what we can do is, because we have 3 manageable processes where the information system is now expanded into 3 manageable processes, we can now take the activities that we already had and now align these activities more precisely with the functional processes. So that's what I have done here in this diagram. As you can see, for the sales, it received the tracking number from the supplier and also it received the customer purchase order. And then in relation to the purchasing department, it received the supplier order sent by the supplier, and then the accounts department, it paid the supplier and received money from the customer. But you also can see that the book was delivered directly from the supplier to the customer. So that's what I have done here. So we can get to further more details, like for example the sales process, purchase process, accounts process can be detailed out into sub processes with additional information in hand. So let's look at the next level of details from this information that we have here. We have now looked at the processes, the manageable processes. Next, I'm going to look at one of these processes, which is the accounts process. Now, in the accounts process, we can identify from the information that's given to us, there are 3 sub-processes. The first one is the accounts receivable. And with the accounts receivable, the customer data store gets updated, and then the second one is the accounts payable. With that, the supplier data store gets updated, and the third is the cash sub process, and the cash is received from the customer and cash is paid to the supplier. So as you can see here, for the customer and the supplier, the cash received and paid are shown with arrows. but I haven't shown as any sub-processes. The reason for that is that the customer customer delivered textbook, that part is in the sales process, so it becomes part of the sales sub process, and the supplier deliver the textbook, that gets connected to the purchasing process, and it can become part of the purchasing sub process. So the diagram here is the more detailed diagram, which shows the sub processes of a process. It's called data flow diagram 1. What we have done is we've taken the process number 3 and then looked at the sub processes. So therefore we have given the notations here for the sub processes as 3.1, 3.2 and 3.3. So that brings us to end of this video. Thanks for watching.